What's going on, guys? Zombie Wars here, and welcome back again to another video. Today we're going to be covering Five Nights at Freddy's X Dead by Daylight yet again in this video. Before we get to this video though, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I cover a lot of DBD news, speculation, and more, and I would love to see some new awesome faces onto the channel. So in this video, I wanted to take a final shot at speculation before the new FNAF chapter drops onto the PTB servers tomorrow. Today we'll be going over the Springtrap skins and which ones I think will make it into the game. I previously covered legendary skins for all killers including Springtrap, but in this video I wanted to focus solely on skins we could possibly get for the man himself tomorrow, or I guess down the line as well. Now, I'm not sure if Springtrap will be dropping on the PTB with skins, but if he does, it would be fun to see which ones in this video make it into the final game. We already know what one of them is actually, that being the movie's version of William Afton's Yellow Rabbit, but let's take a shot at some additional skins that will be coming into the game, since we know that he will be getting a couple of them. So let's start with some of the more obvious ones first, and then we'll move on to the more, shall I say, inspired looks for him. So taking a page from the legendary skins video that I made, I think it will be apparent that we'll probably get some more versions of William we've seen previously, that being versions of William in other games. I think I'm going to lump all these at once just because I've covered them already, but I think both Burntrap and Scraptrap are very likely contenders for a Springtrap skin. These are Springtrap's other forms he's taken in canon in the game series, and I think it'd be a shame to not include them in some way or form. My feelings on Scraptrap are conflicted, as I genuinely think he's a little revolting to look at, but he still has this like charm to him that I think it would make me sad if he wasn't included in the game. I'd also throw in the Yellow Rabbit from Into the Pit specifically, as it's become a fan favorite of the series, I would say, and would be a nice reference to the FNAF novels, especially since he's now received his very own FNAF game as well. I would say he'd be much more fitting as a legendary on, say, a creature like the Demogorgon, as he's more animalistic than William Afton, but as we know already, legendary skins cannot go on different IPs, so I think going with the Animatronic would probably be the best placement for him. But just imagine if he could go on Demogorgon though, that'd be so cool. They can like change the little things he puts on the ground, like the portals, into like ball pits, and his lunge would just be perfect. Obviously that can't happen, but I think it'd be cool. But I think if I had to pick one of these skins of the three I mentioned, I think I would probably pick the Yellow Rabbit, the one from Into the Pit, the most. But I'm curious what you guys all think, so leave a comment down below. What form of William from previous games would you guys love to see enter the fog? Okay, so let's move on from the legendary skins and focus specifically on Springtrap himself. No changes to him as a character, but just skins for him. There are actually a lot of different routes that Springtrap could go by in Dead by Daylight, as Springtrap has received a plentiful amount of skins in a previous installment already, that being Five Nights at Freddy's Special Delivery. Now, I will say a lot of these skins, in my opinion, would be a bit silly in DBD. However, I do think some of them could work very nicely. The first one out of all the AR skins I think would probably be the most likely is the Fire Springtrap skin. I think this one is simply cool because of Springtrap's association with being burnt down, and in my humble opinion, just carries so much aura with it. I don't think it would have like crazy flame effects like it does in FNAF AR, but I do think a molten Springtrap skin with maybe some like smaller flames emitting from him would be a very neat look. Out of all the skins from Five Nights at Freddy's AR, I think that this skin is probably my personal favorite. And in addition to this burnt Springtrap, I think another cool look for Springtrap would be his Toxic Springtrap look. Toxic Springtrap is yet again another really cool look for Springtrap, and I think behavior could easily make this skin look even cooler by having the skin be somewhat animated. I think having the toxic bubbles that are stuck to his body burst and like reform on him would be really neat. I think this is a skin for Springtrap that would actually fit very nicely in the world of Dead by Daylight. I think they can even add on to it and make it look even, I guess, grosser. Also, speaking of FNAF AR skins, I cannot leave this one out, and that is Clown Springtrap, a fan favorite of all the FNAF AR skins. I don't necessarily think this one will make it into the game, as it is pretty much like a complete body type change, and I think that would mess with like animations and whatnot, unless they made it a legendary skin, which I don't know if they would do that. But still, I think this would be such a nice thing to have for Springtrap, albeit it's a little funny. I know people suggested this actually being like a clown skin, but I'm not sure if Behavior, or, you know, Scott for that matter, would want to give a legendary skin to another character that features a character that is already its own killer. I just think that would be kind of weird, because you would be like, oh, it's Springtrap, wait, no, it's actually the clown. So moving on from the FNAF AR skin, let's talk about some completely original skins. So for this chapter, I'm going to go with the assumption that Scott would be very open-minded towards skins with Springtrap, assuming they fit his character and aren't something completely out of left field. I came to this conclusion based on what we know about the boundaries set already for this chapter, as well as a combination of some stuff we've already gotten in both FNAF AR and the FNAF merch. Seriously, some of this stuff is just like wild. Anyways, what I think is probably the most likely out of all the original skins is a Blighted Springtrap skin. Blighted skins seem to be more and more common when it comes to the licensed IPs, and it's one of the most requested skins when it comes to both killers that are original and licensed. Not only that, but most Blighted skins have lore associated with it, canon or not, and it would be really cool to see William Afton get injected with the Blighted serum, as similar to Wesker, I believe that he would willingly want it to increase his power. I think a Blighted Springtrap could be really cool, and it could put emphasis on the rotting corpse that is inside of William, and it could even change the Springlock suit that he's wearing. I think it would be really neat if they can take inspiration from Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and make him look like a nightmare animatronic. I think getting a Nightmare Springtrap by a Blighted skin would be the coolest thing that they can do. Also, I've just seen so much Blight and Springtrap crossover on my Twitter timeline, so I just think it would be cool to have them interact in some way or form. I just think that in the lore, they would get along very well. It's actually a video concept I really want to make. How would the DBD killers react to Springtrap? Let me know if you'd like to see that video. I also think it's very possible we can get some sort of winter skin for Springtrap as well. Springtrap has never received any winter skins in FNAF AR, however, Plushtrap has. I think Behavior and Scott could make a skin very similar for Springtrap based on his Plushtrap look for the holiday season, so basically make him made of ice. It would match other skins they've already given the killers like the Trapper, the Hillbilly, and Ghostface, converting them into these ice creatures. And I think replacing his knife with a weapon like an icicle would feel really neat as well. I think this one is a little basic, though I think it's very plausible as it's a nice holiday for Springtrap, and we usually get holiday skins for kills. So the Chrysalis collection is another likely Springtrap skin I think we can get. These skins personally are not really up my alley, as they're focused on being very buggy to say the least, and I'm not a fan of bug. But it seems as though licensed skins for this collection are on Behavior's radar, featuring both a skin for Pyramid Head and the Xenomorph. So I wouldn't be surprised if Springtrap got one himself. I think it would be very easy to make one for Springtrap, considering he's like a rotting corpse, and I would imagine they would take inspiration of him rotting away, abandoned for 30 years to be featured for this skin. I would imagine that bugs would nest in his suit or something within the 30 years and whatnot. I'm not sure, however, as the skin collection seems to be somewhat unpopular in terms of reception. I have no sales data to back this up, however, so I could be wrong, but going off engagements I've seen online referring to this collection, it seems mostly negative, so perhaps this could ruin the chances of this skin entering a FOG if, it hasn't been decided already. It seems that people are very divided on the Chrysalis collections, as most people seem to either really hate these skins because they're very gross, or they are in love with it because it's, well, buggy, and I guess a lot of people like that. Me, I am not a fan of the bugs. There is one more skin that I feel could work very well with Springtrap, albeit it wouldn't be much of a change rather than a recolor, and that is Dark Springtrap. So Dark Springtrap isn't exactly a character, to be honest, as it's just Springtrap at the end of the Sister Location game at the final cutscene, where he appears at a Fazbear's Fright that has recently burnt down. However, for some reason, he does have a lot of merch. For reasons I'm not really sure why, because I don't really hear anyone talk about him. He actually beats out Scraptrap, which is really funny because I'm pretty sure Scraptrap has only been featured in a coloring book, and that's the extent of merch he's received. I think it's plausible for Dark Springtrap to enter the FOG as some sort of skin, even if it's just a glorified recolor for the most part. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the skins I think that Springtrap could get in Dead by Daylight. I wanted to focus more on some original skins and FNAF AR skins that focus on Springtrap as him as a character, and not changing him into a completely different character, even though I featured some different variations of Springtrap in this video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think we'll receive any of these skins, or are there skins that I've missed out that you guys think he'll get? I know that people have been floating around the idea of him getting a Twisted Masquerade skin. I think that's also very plausible as well. So let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a comment. What are your thoughts on Springtrap skins in the game? We have only one more day to find out possibly some of these skins. But that's pretty much it, guys. I'll see you guys next video. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the FOG.